Howdy folks, welcome to my unboxing of the Dungeons & Dragons Fantasy Role-Playing Game Starter Set, otherwise known as the Red Box. And this is by Wizards of the Coast. It's the ultimate game of your imagination, complete with monsters, magic, and treasure for one or more beginning to intermediate players, age 12 and above. So, this is actually a reimagining of the original Red Box that was introduced in the 70s, the late 70s, which in fact I still have a copy of. My original set. I think it was from 1979, I believe, when the Red Box came out, the first one. The basic set, followed up by the blue box, which was the advanced Dungeons & Dragons set. So I picked this up, let's take a look at the artwork here, to get back into the 4th edition rules. Now here, this was the place to start. This is the new Essentials line, apparently. Although I don't see where it says anything about Essentials, so maybe this is, well, let's see, maybe that will become clear here in a moment, but let's take a look at the contents. Your next quest awaits. So there's just a flyer here. It says continue with your character's career with another solo adventure. Enter the redemption code below. Okay, so you apparently can download another solo adventure. My guess is there's one included in this particular package. All right, that's wonderful. Here we have the polyhedral dice, the quintessential Dungeons & Dragons dice. We've got the 20-sided, 10, 4, 6, 12, and 8-sided dice, rather. Lovely. And now we have the player's book. And it says, read this first. So, well, I guess it's clear where to begin. But before we do that, before we delve into each one of these guides, I think we finished looking at all the contents here. Now we have the Dungeon Master's book, and if you can't feel these, but they are a fair paper stock. A little flimsy, I suppose, but I guess that's to be expected for I think I paid 13 bucks on Amazon for this. But it's heavy enough. There's enough pages in here. Let's see. Dungeon Master's Guide anyway. Roughly about 63 pages. The Player's Handbook. Player's Guide here. Looks like it has somewhere in the 30s. Okay. I apologize for the shaky cam. I'm doing all this with one hand on the camera and one hand free to move stuff about. Alright, so now we have these cards. And on the back side we have the artwork. It tells you the type of card. I do know a little bit about Dungeons & Dragons. I haven't played in a while, but I've been reading up a little bit on the 4th edition. And here we have specific class cards or power cards, at-will powers for the wizard. And here we have encounter powers, at-will powers, encounter powers. And then when you flip them over, it has all the statistics for the particular power. So this is an at-will power, which means the wizard can use this at will. And it's got all the necessary information here at the top of the card. And I suppose what you do is, if your wizard has this power, then you take the card and you put it by your side and you use it for reference. So there's the at-wills. And then we have the encounter powers. These can be used once per encounter. And again, it's got all the relevant information here in black and white. Nice and handy. Okay, and we have, wow, okay, that's just one sheet of that, but we have several more. Let's flip these over. Whoopsie. Okay, not getting ahead of ourselves here. Let's see, we have more cards for human and elf and halfling. Oh, then we have cards for magic items as well. So let's just flip through these. Okay, fighter, encounter powers, wizard at will powers, and rogue. So I would imagine all four of the archetype type characters here are represented: wizard, fighter, rogue, and cleric, though I have not seen the cleric. There it is. Okay, here's the cleric powers. Daily powers. And once again, these have all the information necessary to use that skill during play without having to dig around in books. And that will be nice indeed. Okay, these are magic items. Alright, so there are, let's see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pages of these cutouts of these cards. Very nice. Okay, and now let's go back to the box and we have character sheets. And it looks like everything's been condensed down to a single page. The backside is actually blank. Isn't that nice? I don't know if you recall the old advanced D&D, AD&D 3 or 3.5 character sheets, but they were double-sided, and it was like basically like reading the tax code, trying to figure out tax code. So this is cool. All right, so we have all of the ability scores go here, and looks like they have all the relevant or related skills right with the attribute, which makes that nice and easy to find, to come up with your modifiers. Very well. Hunting down information was one of the banes of all dungeon masters, or is one of the banes, at least in my opinion, one of the stumbling blocks for getting started with Dungeons and Dragons, is trying to figure out how to even roll up a character based on the old guides. All right, so there's a bunch of those in there, and we have another flyer here. Players, your adventures are just getting started. Gather your friends and assemble a party of bold heroes, ready to overcome the difficult challenges, monstrous threats, and evil plots. Okay, this looks like it's just a flyer for some more stuff. All right, so this is where it begins. This is the red box. That's the one I have. These are two guides. One's called Heroes of the Fallen Lands, and this one is, I don't know if you can read that, but Heroes of the Forgotten, and I can't read that, Kingdoms. And these are more classes, more character, races, and classes. I actually have this one. I may be covering that one soon. In fact, I bought the rules compendium as well, and not the role-playing dice, but and I'll get to those. Oh, there's more on the flip side? Yes. Dungeon Master Kit, rules compendium, okay. So there's that flyer there, and now we have tokens. So there's a nice hard card stock of cutout tokens. And these are to be used in the game to represent, obviously, your characters. We have action point tokens, so that you can keep track of your action points during the game and how many you have left and how many you've spent and so forth. Looks like we have some monster tokens here. More common monsters, goblins, orcs, and then on the flip side, we've got some more here as well. So it looks like they're double-sided. They don't necessarily match. So they will be doing double duty. Skeletons, looks like some kind of, what are those fellas? Don't know. And then all the characters are here along this side. Okay, so that's not too shabby. And then we have, it's one large folded map of tile. So instead of including separate tiles like some of the earlier starter editions had, this is one giant folding map. Let me see if I can try to get the entire thing here for you. It's very colorful. All right, so here's the edge. And goes all the way over here. I'd say it's about almost 2 feet maybe. By 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 this way, 3.5. And this looks like it's part of the adventure that's included in the package. And that's one side. Let's flip it over. And the flip side is the interior. Looks like the inside of the dungeon with, as you can see, the squares here for moving your characters along and positioning monsters and so forth. There's some designs in here, rooms, barrels and features like that to give it a little flavor. Pretty cool stuff. All right, I'm gonna fold that up and get it out of the way. Okay, just a quick recap. It's the Dungeons & Dragons Red Box Starter Set. And this is where you will begin your journey, and I think I may be recording some of my journey here, learning the game with my children. So feel free to subscribe and follow along if you would like. And here we have the token pieces. Okay, that's the box with the flyers. We've got the dice, character sheets. We've got the tile fold-out poster thingy with the map, and we have these cut-out cards for skills, and counter skills, and some magic items in there as well. And here we have, obviously, the 2 books. Let's just take a quick peek inside the books, shall we? Okay, let's just look here. The introduction teaches you a little bit about how to use the book, getting started. And then it runs right into part 1, Goblin Attack. And this is what I'm going to be doing. I will be recording this as I play. I'm going to follow along in this book and record it. It jumps right into the action. So it looks like it's going to teach you Dungeons & Dragons, at least from the player's perspective, right from the get-go. I mean, this is literally page 3. So it tells you, here it sets up the scenario. Tells you what you are, who you are, where you are. Actually, it doesn't tell you who you are. I think you will decide that. This is kind of a choose your own adventure, it looks like. So you read the story. Okay, yes, and then it asks you questions. Do you imagine pulling a weapon from the back of the wagon and leaping down to fight? All right, I don't want to spoil it, but it looks like it's a choose your own adventure, and eventually you will decide what type of character you like to play. So it's asking you these questions. You're being interrogated basically to find out your personality type, perhaps. You're going to be a rogue, you want to be a wizard, you want to get up front and smack stuff with hammers and swords, and so forth. So again, that's the player's guide, and it looks like all the way through, this is what it does. It takes you through some combat, setting up your character sheet, choosing your skills. So all the good basics appear to be covered. And it's done through some kind of like guided tutorial. It's very nice, actually. Okay, how to read the power cards. So on the back it's got how to read your power cards. Basically a legend for all the various statistics on the cards. And that's the player's guide. So now let's take a look at the Dungeon Master's book. Again, how to use the book. What comes next? Dungeon Master's rule to game by. And I will, again, I'm going to be recording my steps through this game, opening up the rest of the essentials lines. So feel free to, if you want to subscribe, just go ahead and follow along. So your first encounter, this tells the Dungeon Master how to set things up. Okay, it talks about the tactics. And it moves on to monster statistics, features of the area. So this gives the basics of how to become a DM, running the game. Conversation, And the most important rule, it looks like it's the roll. DM relies on checks. Okay, cool. Running combat. So you get the idea. This is telling the Dungeon Master how to manage a game, how to run a game, and keep it moving along and flowing well, and keep it fun and exciting for the players. This is nice to show you how certain spell effects affect area, which has never been done before in any of the other guides as far as I can recall. And I do have the big hardcover guides. I just never really spent a lot of time with them, honestly, because I get hung up on stuff early on and gave up. Alright, so it talks about saving throws, rest and recovery, and it looks like there's an adventure here, the Twisting Halls. Yep, it tells you how to set it up, and you can walk other players through this. And encounter one. Okay, here we go. Sweet. So the rest of the game, the rest of the book, and that's on page 23. It looks like, okay, walks you through this adventure, skill challenge, talking to a dragon. Another encounter, count 4 trial. Alright, then concluding the adventure. So yeah, it looks like the middle part of the book is mostly an adventure, and it walks you through it and how to handle it and how to be a DM. And then finally, it looks like it tells you, it's got some instructions on how to create your own quests, how to build a dungeon, designing encounters. And then there's a section in the back for monsters. This has statistics on some of the more common monsters that you may fill your adventures with. Lizard folk, and the old standby orc, of course. Okay, and then rewards. All right, and that's pretty much it. Looks like there might be another. Okay, looks like these are areas of some kind of a map, I guess. I don't know. All right, and that's pretty much it. So that is the unboxing of the Dungeons & Dragons Red Box Starter Set. Hope you enjoyed, and if you did, hey, please subscribe, and I will be doing more of these in the future. So stay tuned. Bye-bye.